What's up, guys? Welcome back to Chiefs Chat. Today we're doing the Chiefs versus Raiders game recap. And what a game it was, man. 29-30 was the final score. The Chiefs pulling out the comeback victory. I mean, it's just crazy, you know? This is something that I never thought I would ever see, you know, with the Chiefs organization, okay? It just seems like when we go down in a football game, it just doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't seem to matter to these guys, okay? It's nothing to them, okay? 17-0, and we come back and we just absolutely kill them in the second half. I mean, it was fantastic. We did a fantastic job, especially in that third quarter. We came out of the half and we dominated, which is exactly what we needed to do after, you know, struggling in the first quarter, having an iffy second quarter, and then boom, coming out in the third and just taking over, okay? Fourth quarter, a little bit shaky, okay? You know, there are definitely a couple of different times in which we could have put that game away easily. But you know what, man? I gotta give props to that Raiders defense. They did a pretty solid job. Okay, Max Crosby, this dude is a demon. I would not be at all surprised if Max Crosby won a Defensive Player of the Year award. Okay, this dude, he played fantastic. And on top of that, Chandler Jones was doing a pretty solid job, okay? Orlando Brown was struggling. Orlando Brown and Andrew Wiley, you know, our two guys on the end, okay, they had a tough game. They weren't doing a great job. But you know what, man? Overall, okay, I cannot be too upset. I cannot be too upset at all, considering that we were down 17-0. I mean, it's giving me flashbacks from that Texans game a few years ago when we were down 24-0 and we came back and won that game by quite a few points. It's kind of crazy, okay? That is what this Chiefs team is capable of, and I never thought that I would ever see this. I mean, this is insane. It's absolutely unbelievable. And it seems like when we have a rough start to a game, you know, I just don't even worry about it, you know, because I know that the Chiefs, we're going to make it a competitive game. At the very least, we're going to make it a competitive game, you know? If the Chiefs aren't absolutely blowing you out of the water, then we're competing. That's exactly what we do. And that's exactly what the best teams in the NFL do, okay? You know, how many times have you seen the Bills get blown out in the past couple of seasons? You know, that's kind of the main reason as to why I think the Bills are the second best team in the NFL, you know? You don't see them get blown out, okay? And with the Chiefs, you almost never see that with the Chiefs as well, okay? It happened a couple of times last season. And I will note the Bills were one of those teams to be able to do that. You know, 38-20 was the final score in that matchup last year. And then the Titans, most notably, absolutely destroyed us. You know, I'll give them credit for that. I don't think it's going to happen when we play them this year because they're not looking as good. But you know what, man? I'm just super happy. I'm super happy about this Chiefs team. You know? And before I even get into the roughing the passer call, okay, which was absolutely absurd. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. It was absolutely terrible. But before I even get into that, I just want to talk about what I really enjoyed. You know, what I liked seeing from this Chiefs team. You know, and obviously, first and foremost, we showed so much resilience. I mean, we showed an incredible amount of resilience. And I think the new guys on this team, you know, they're not used to this. They're just not, you know. Juju Smith-Schuster, you know, playing for the Steelers, you know, Marquez Valdes-Scantling playing for the Packers. These guys are just not used to seeing a football team as resilient as this one. You know, our core guys, man, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, we know, okay? These dudes know what's going on with the Chiefs Kingdom. I mean, we know that when we're down in a football game, you just got to have that mentality flip, okay? You just got to be like, all right, we got to put our heads down. We got to keep driving. We got to keep going, man, because this game is not over. You know, in most situations, when you go down 17-0 in an NFL football game, it's over, you know? In most situations, you're done, you know? And I think the new players coming in, you know, the rookies, the veterans, you know, everybody that's on our team that wasn't on our team last year, they're starting to learn. They're starting to pick up on that, you know? They're starting to pick up on the fact that most teams, it's over. But with the Chiefs, it's never over. The game is never over with the Chiefs, okay? That Raiders team, they played their butt off, man. Devante Adams was absolutely killing us. I mean, this dude was unstoppable. You know, literally from start to finish, this dude, he could not be stopped. And that's part of what I wanted to talk about also. Why did the Raiders not exploit that as much as they should have? I mean, honestly, if I'm the Raiders, if I'm Josh McDaniels, the head coach of the Raiders, every single play, man, every single down, every single series, I am calling a play for Devante Adams because we could not stop him. And it didn't really matter who we put on him. You know, L'Jarius Sneed, I feel like, had the most success against Devante Adams, but Rashad Fenton was getting absolutely destroyed. Okay, Rashad Fenton couldn't do anything, and neither could Jalen Watson. I mean, Devante Adams was absolutely destroying our corners. So I'm not sure why they didn't attempt to exploit that more than they did. You know, obviously Devante Adams had a great game, but I think there was potential there for him to have an even better game. And they just didn't seem to exploit that. So, but that's another thing, man. It just seems like our corners, you know? It happened with Mike Williams. It happened with Jamar Chase. And I remember even talking about this in the game preview. I mean, I was nervous about Devante Adams. I was nervous about him being on the field. Because I know when there is a big, dominant physical receiver, it just seems like every single time they go up against the Chiefs, they just go off. They have a fantastic game. It just doesn't seem like we have a guy who can really match up with those top receivers. So, you know, it makes me nervous. And I had a very good reason to be nervous, you know, obviously, after what ended up happening. I mean, Devante Adams had a fantastic game. You know, he went crazy. A couple of touchdowns, you know. I think he only ended up with like 3 receptions, but he had like 150 yards. Like this dude, I mean, this is like Randy Moss type stuff. I mean, he's going insane. And it just, you know, it's tough. It's very tough. You know, we need to be able to figure out what do we need to do here to be able to figure out how to stop these top receivers. We had trouble with Mike Williams. Okay, we had trouble with Jamar Chase last year. You know, how are we going to fix this? You know, I think L'Jarius Sneed is kind of our guy. But even him, I'm not too confident about in terms of being able to match up one-on-one, man-to-man with Devante Adams. Okay, it's tough. But, you know, all things aside, I think the offense played great, obviously. Offense had a fantastic game. Our defensive line, really good. Really good defensive line, you know, especially in the second half. We were getting to the quarterback, and that kind of brings me, you know, to the roughing the passer call, which was not a roughing the passer call. You know, it shouldn't have been. I don't think anybody, you know, not a single fan, not a single Raiders fan, not a single Raiders coach thought that was a roughing the passer call. You know, I'm willing to bet that the only person on the planet that thought that was a roughing the passer call was the referee that threw the flag. You know, and that is why, you know, it's just, it's so absurd. Okay, it happened with Tom Brady also on Sunday. Okay, you know, these calls, it's just, it's ridiculous. And something I don't understand is that typically when you see a roughing the passer call, it's after the ball is out of the quarterback's hands, you know, and those calls I can absolutely understand, because when the ball is out of the quarterback's hand and the defender still makes an attempt to push them on the ground, you know, that's not good. You know, that definitely warrants a penalty, because at that point you have no reason to continue to put the quarterback on the ground. He doesn't have the ball in his hands, okay? But when the ball is still in the quarterback's hands, you have absolutely every reason to want to put him on the ground, okay? And what made it even a step worse was that Chris Jones had the ball in his hand. The ball was in Chris Jones' hand, okay? Like he had a fumble, and he recovered the fumble, and he landed on top of Derek Carr. He tried to brace himself with his left arm, okay? He tried to stop himself. But that's a flag, I guess. You know, that's a penalty. Somehow. I just don't understand, and nothing happened to the rule book, okay, between now and a few weeks ago, and I just don't understand why now, all of a sudden, these roughing the passer calls are being called while the ball is still in the hands of the quarterback. It happened with Tom Brady, okay? There was a nice sack, got to the quarterback, you know, put him on the ground, which is what you do when you sack the quarterback. Like, yeah, he kind of tossed him, you know, but this is football. This is American football, you know? That is what, that's what you do. That's what you do when a player has the ball in their hands. You put them on the ground, you know? However that, you know, however you know how to do that, you know, in whatever way that you can come up with to put them on the ground. That's what you do in football. When a player has the ball in their hand, you just put them on the ground, okay? So I don't understand. You know, like I said, I did understand, you know, I do understand those type of calls when the quarterback has the ball, throws the ball, and then no longer has the ball and is still getting tackled. Like, that's a penalty. You know, that's obviously a penalty, but it's just, it's very blurry to me. You know, it's very blurry. And one thing I will say, okay, I mean, Chiefs Kingdom, okay? One thing about Chiefs Kingdom is that when there's a call like that, you know, when there is an absolutely egregious call, similar to the roughing the passer call, okay, Chiefs Kingdom, we are going to let you know. We are going to get loud, and we are not going to stop. You know, it took a while for that Chiefs crowd to finally start to cool down. Okay, we were livid. Okay, Andy Reid was livid. The sideline was livid. And every single fan in that stadium, I mean, you could hear it. I have never, ever, in all my years of watching football, been able to clearly hear as many boos as I did after that roughing the passer call. It was absolutely insane. And that is the power of Chiefs Kingdom, man. You know, and I think, honestly, as bad of a call as that was, you know, and as harmful as it was to the score at the time, I think really what happened there is kind of what led to the flip. You know, I think it really switched the momentum over to the Chiefs' side, man. Because we came out of that second half with a chip on our shoulder, okay? We said, you guys want to play it like this, okay? Is this how this game is going to go, okay? Because we're not having it, okay? We're coming out here and we are, boom, dink and dunk down the field. Touchdown, get the ball back, another touchdown, boom, we're ahead just like that, okay? And that's exactly the mentality that we needed to be able to attack this Raiders team. And boom, we did it, okay? Won the game, came from behind, okay? We were down 10 points at half, and it went away like nothing, okay? That third quarter couldn't have been better. And I think what happened was we fed off of that Chiefs energy, man. We fed off of the fans. You know, we just, boom, we came out stronger. We were just way more impactful. You know, everything that every single player on that field did in the second half, it looked faster, it looked stronger, it just looked better than it did in the first half. And not even just in terms of like, oh man, he dropped a pass, oh man, he's not running the route, you know, good enough. It's just, we were just faster, like we were just better. Like we did not make, you know, these silly mistakes. And on top of that, we were attacking, man. We were attacking, we were strong. And I really do think that that's home field advantage, man. That's the Chiefs feeding off of that energy, okay? It was just fantastic to see. It was really good to see. So, and another thing is, man, shout out to our kicker, you know. We need Harrison Butker back. I mean, that's pretty obvious. That's pretty point blank obvious, but shout out to him, man. A franchise record, 59-yard field goal at the end of the half. You know, Chiefs had 17 seconds on the board. You know, dink and dunk down the field, get in field goal range. You know, field goal range. I mean, it's kind of tough to really call that field goal range, but you know what? It was a manageable field goal, and boom, he knocked it through. So shout out to that guy. I think his name is Nick Wright. I don't know nowadays. I mean, we need Harrison Butker back because I don't even know who our kicker is nowadays. But you know, shout out to him. That was definitely a game-changing play. And man, there was a lot, man. There was a lot in that game that could have really switched the outcome. You know, a lot of things that the Raiders did, a lot of things that the Chiefs did, especially in that fourth quarter, that could have just completely changed the way the game played out, you know? And that third down, man, I'm not sure what the play call was on that third down, okay? And I'm talking about the one late in the game. Chiefs had the ball. There's about 2 minutes left on the clock. It's 3rd and 3. And we get Mecole Hardman on this pretty decent route, you know, against a slower defender, you know. Patrick Mahomes, you know, it was a good throw. It was just a little bit over his head. Just didn't end up connecting. And you know, that's a good play. You know, fundamentally, that is a good play. You want to have Mecole Hardman out there, you know, one of our faster receivers against one of their slower defenders. That's a fantastic play. But on 3rd and 3, I just don't understand it. You know, and I'm not sure if that was his first read or if he saw that and was like, oh man, I got to hit this route. But if it was his first read, then I just don't understand. You know, why are we trying to get a 30-yard connection when we just need 3 yards? You know? And that play was what ended up giving them the ball back, you know, with less than 2 minutes to go. And they had an opportunity. They had a shot, you know, and you know, it's tough. Devante Adams, man, made a fantastic catch. But, you know, the ruling on the field was that he didn't completely have possession of the ball. Honestly, man, in that moment, I felt bad for Devante Adams. It's like, dang. Because really, he did catch the ball. You know, it's on his fingertips. But technically, the rule is that, you know, you have to be able to fully control that ball when you're making contact with the ground. And by the time he had the ball in his hands, his feet were not in bounds, you know? So that's a tough break. That's really a tough break for the Raiders. And I did feel bad in the moment, you know? And then obviously the play after was that big deep shot on the 4th and 1. And Devante Adams and Hunter Renfrow ran into each other, which was pretty funny to see, by the way. But, you know, in that moment, I was like, dang, man, Devante Adams, I'm sorry, dude. That sucks. That really does suck. Because he was playing his butt off, man. He had a fantastic game. But you know what, man? That all went away after I saw what he did to that Chiefs photographer. I mean, geez, man. You got to control yourself, you know? You're an NFL football player, you know? You are a grown adult. You make millions of dollars to play a game. I mean, come on. It's not that serious. It's really not. You know, and that's just an immature move on his behalf. You know, what are you doing here? You know, I understand that it's frustrating. I understand that you're very passionate about this game, and when things don't go your way, it's upsetting. But that is absolutely no excuse for what he did to that photographer. I mean, absolutely no excuse at all. I mean, I was absolutely shocked when I saw it, you know? Just shoving down that photographer. I mean, this dude didn't do anything. He just tried to do his job. And he pushed him down. So, Devante Adams, you gotta chill, dude. You gotta chill. I know you issued a public apology, but, you know, if you really were apologetic, then you probably would have turned around and tried to help him up or something, you know? You know, what happened with Devante Adams post-game just seemed like the Raiders PR team being like, hey, Devante, you're about to get into trouble, so you better issue an apology right now. You know, that seemed to be what was going on, you know? Because I think if Devante Adams truly was apologetic for what he did, he would have turned around and helped the guy. But he did not. He just went straight to the locker room, didn't care, okay? And this guy ended up filing a police report, you know? Chasing the bag, definitely trying to get some money off of Devante Adams, but you know what? He has every right to do so, you know? He definitely was assaulted. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next Chiefs chat. You know, week 6 coming up. Big game against the Buffalo Bills. Okay, couldn't be more important. I mean, this is a huge game coming up. So, coming with the game recap soon, game preview soon for that Buffalo Bills game. And until then, I will see you guys in the next Chiefs chat. Peace out.